like that. Woo!
What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up Show. My name is BJ Matthews, aka B Jizzle.
Hey, and it's your co-host that does it the most, Rick Masters. Man, y'all already know what the deal is. The Pull Up Basketball Podcast shirts. We got the red, we got the black sweaters, the black shirts, we got the white tanks, we got the sweaters, man, in different colors, red, white, man, hoodies. $25 a pop for the shirts, $30 for the hoodies, man, and the sweaters, $5 shipping and handling. Hit up me and B Jizzle at Rick Masters 23 or Mr. Lee on Instagram. Rick Masters everywhere else. B Jizzle, let's go.
Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Happy Sunday to everybody. You know what I'm saying? And have a happy Sunday. I hope everybody's relaxing, chilling. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy this podcast. We got a good topic for y'all today. So we definitely appreciate y'all, man. Hit that like button for y'all. Hit the comment section. You know what I'm saying? Salute to my man, Little Rock. You know what I'm saying? Salute to my man, The Realist. He said, salute, BJ. I heard you were cooking on show video the other day. Yep. Got into it, man. Had to cook that boy mask. But yeah, we back with another hot topic, man. Me and my boy Rick gonna talk about this Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving situation. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all been hearing about throughout the whole week, and I haven't really spoken too much on it, but I think me and you, we have a good thing talking about this situation because going into the big three, the big trio, like a lot of us, we all kind of looked at it like the super team. Remember we said the Monstars? Like a lot of people looked at it as like the Monstar team, and of course things have unraveled in ways that we didn't expect. James Harden departing, the vaccine situation with Kyrie Irving. Kevin Durant, you know what I'm saying, melting down like he did against Boston. So it's been a lot of surprises going on with this team. But there seems to be another surprise that the Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving might be on their way out of Brooklyn. You know what I mean? So what are your thoughts of this situation? Let me start with first. What did you think about when you first heard about it? And also, do you think there's a chance that Katie and Kyrie will be out of Brooklyn? Let me hear it from you.
Man, well, look, okay. It's so many different directions we can go, but let's just start with the obvious. Sean Marks, is the runner of that organization. So let's start there.
Right.
And like anybody would know, and it doesn't matter whether we're talking basketball, a job. At the end of the day, NBA players are the employee to their GMs. Okay, so let's start there. And what we do know to be is fact is that Kyrie has shown, has said, and has done things in his behavior to pretty much prove that there are other things at times that are more important to him. That's a fact. I'm not
Right.
not an opinion that comes from Kyrie himself. And so when we look at it from that perspective, you have to think no matter what organization you're with, whether it's the NBA, whether it's a job or it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if an owner of a business doesn't know if they're going to get the most out of their employees, they're going to start looking elsewhere. They're going to start planning for things to come. And so with that being said, Sean Marks has made it known that, hey, I want employees who are going to come to work, right? I want employees who are going to give 100% of their time to this organization, right? And to be fair to Sean Marks, I don't blame him because he is a business owner. He's a businessman. He runs an organization. Now, with that being said, to defend Kyrie has his own rights. He has his own thoughts as a man, and whatever he decides to do, he's not necessarily in the wrong. But let's keep things in focus here. At the end of the day, I work for an insurance company. If I go there and tell my boss, hey, I got other things outside of this I need to do on my time and when I want to do it, 9 times out of 10, they're going to let me go eventually. They're going to find somebody else that can fulfill my spot, right? So you can always be replaceable. But at the same time, it's a weird situation because tying into KD, we already know that KD and Kyrie are friends. Okay. And so we know that KD supports Kyrie. We know that KD also supports Sean Marks because let's kind of look at it this way. BJ, you kind of already brought it up before the show. We haven't heard really anything from KD. And the thing is, that's not like KD. KD is good at recruiting. KD is good at talking to people. KD is very vocal when it comes to how he feels and what he thinks. We know that over the years when he, contacts analysts and shouts them out through his Twitters and social media platforms. So we know he's a vocal guy, but he's been quiet, which is kind of out of character for KD. And so now this leaves me with just open thoughts. My thing is he came to the Nets, of course, to try to win a championship as a superstar in his own right, because let's take a little time trip here. He kind of landed with OKC in a perfect situation. You already had James Harden, you already had himself, of course. You already had Westbrook when he was actually, effective, right? He was playing out of his mind, and then you also had the supporting pieces. So KD landed in a smooth spot when he got in the league, right? That team looked good, even made it to the finals against the Miami Heat. Okay, then he leaves OKC. He goes over to Golden State. He's in another perfect position. Okay, wins 2 championships, 2 finals MVPs. Okay, so now the ring is, well, dang, KD, you've always been the greatest player on your teams. Why couldn't you do it in OKC when you had the Warriors down? So then with that being said, it's like, okay, KD's like, I'm going to shut the noise out and go somewhere and do it on my own, which he has the capability to do. So then he goes to his best friend, Kyrie. Him and Kyrie join up with the Nets, and then they get even better piece. Why, when you mentioned in the Monstars, we used to mess around and say the Brooklyn Monstars. Then they get James Harden to come back on that team, which is an old player of his in OKC. But at this time in the time frame, these are all superstar, MVP caliber players. So now you're in a real sweet position. But then, of course, the Kyrie thing happens. Kyrie starts taking off. The COVID situations happens. James Harden doesn't know if Kyrie is going to be there and take it serious. So then he forces himself out to go to Philly. So now it just leaves Kyrie and his unpredictability. We don't know what he's going to do, which puts pressure on KD indirectly. And then KD's, he's defending Kyrie, but he's also defending the organization because he's a team player. And then now we move fast forward. Now we're here, and now KD's quiet. All right. And so the point I want to make is, out of all that, is that within those years of him jumping in different teams, and I will put this on to defend KD, never forced himself out of any situation. He always fulfilled his obligation of the contract. So I'm not going to hit him. He's always did what he had to do when he was on a team. But now the question is, will he possibly force himself out of the Nets for the first time in his career based upon either A, the friendship that he has with Kyrie, or B, is he going to stay loyal to the team and do within his character, stay with the team and fulfill the contract? That's the real conversation. Despite if Kyrie leaves or not, gets traded out or not, will he still stay with Sean Marks and say, hey, Sean Marks, I'm going to be what I've always been. I'm going to stay in this obligation. And then I just want to know, are you going to put pieces around me? Or B, is he going to follow his best friend somewhere else and land a spot somewhere else with Kyrie and potentially go for another championship run? Because let's make this very clear, everybody. He wants to win a championship, right? That's why he built the team he built. And he's getting later in the years. But at the same time, it would be out of his character to force himself out of the Nets when he's never done nothing like that before. So that's really the question mark. And I just feel, if I'm guessing, this is just my opinion, I just feel that he would stay with the Nets because it's within his character to actually fulfill a contract. But I think the only way he would stay with the Nets and not roll with Kyrie somewhere is if Sean Marks supports him like he's been supporting the Nets. Well, he didn't come there with Ben Simmons. Okay. A lot of people have to understand that even though Ben Simmons is the 6'10" defending, point guard, at the end of the day, that wasn't his vision. Right. So I'm thinking he's going to stay with the Nets. He's going to talk with Sean Marks. Sean Marks can bring people around me to where we can make another playoff or a championship run. And then based upon that conversation, I'm thinking if it goes wrong, we possibly could see him leave in force, which would be, again, out of character and actually a shock to me. But then on the last note of this, if Sean Marks works with him, I think he's going to stay with the Nets and do what he's always done and fulfill his obligation. But that's where I'm at right now with it. What do you think, B. Jizzle?
Oh, good analysis, my brother. So let's start with the history, with this team. Like we said, KD, Kyrie have been together for the last 3 seasons. Of course, the first season, they were out with the bubble, with the whole protesting and KD being come off that Achilles injury. They were out for they're out for that season. Second year, they made it to the second round against Milwaukee. Now, of course, Kyrie got hurt. James Harden was, dealing with a hamstring injury. So a lot of people use that kind of as an asterisk because they felt like, well, only the Milwaukee Bucks lost, they won because KD and Kyrie were out. Well, then you go into this season, and then the unexpected happens with the Boston Celtics, how they pretty much ran through the Brooklyn Nets, the only team being swept, 40-0. So ultimately, it's been a failure for the most part. We're going to be honest about it. Now, moving on along. I think it was on Monday that it was announced that Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets were having some contract negotiation problems. You know what I'm saying? And most people didn't really think too much of it. They're like, okay, well, they'll probably figure it out. I'm sure they probably just, back and forth, like how players and, owners do. Like, it's about getting the money and, holding your ground. So then the next day it became a little bit more serious with, okay, we can't come to an agreement. So Kyrie Irving, the deal with him, he wants the supermax, the 5-year supermax, and the Brooklyn Nets don't want to give him the supermax. They want to give him a 2-year deal for $36 million. Now, the reason why being is because, of course, on Kyrie Irving, you got to look at his side. He's dealing with a career where he's had injuries. I think he's only played 103 total games with the Brooklyn Nets. He's dealt with not just the whole, COVID and things like that. He's dealt with injuries. He dealt with injuries in Brooklyn, Boston, dealt with injuries in Cleveland. So he has to protect his future security because you don't know what's going to happen, in the next 3-4 years. So you have to protect your assets if you are a player from here on out. But also, he feels he's deserving of it. He thinks that he is still a top player. Now, when he plays, he is. But the problem is he doesn't play as much as the Nets will like him to. And that's why they're only willing to give him 2 years. So there's both kind of like a tug of war, like who's going to bluff first. They didn't come to an understanding. So here we are now. The teams that they're actually trying to, see what Kyrie Irving is going to be on. Here's his list of requested teams. It's going to be the New York Knicks. That's one team he requested to be on. The LA Clippers, LA Lakers, Miami Heat. Those are the 4 teams right now that are on his wish list. Now, for me, basically, as I saw these teams, I was kind of like, okay, well, most of these teams to me don't make sense. I don't think the Clippers make sense. I don't think that the Knicks make sense. The Lakers could, but he would he would only be getting paid $6 million. So he's already going to, go against what he's fighting for, which is getting more money. So if you go to the Lakers, pretty much what you're saying is that I'm just trying to hold my pride. So I don't see him going to the Lakers, and I do not see him going to Miami because I don't see Pat Riley putting up with what he's doing. So I just think what Kyrie's doing is trying to, play hardball. I don't think Kyrie Irving's going to end up leaving, but we're in this position right now. Now, as far as KD is concerned, he's dealing with a situation where, okay, what's going on? Is Kyrie Irving going to leave me, or what are the Brooklyn Nets doing? I did see a quote that, he put out a few days ago on a podcast. It's called ETC Podcast. His quote went, "There's no involvement at all from me. I mean, I can't be involved with this man's livelihood. This is much bigger than me. Being a free agent is one of the most important times of your career that can't be swayed by anyone else. I just do me and wait for the time. There's nothing that can happen right now. I don't think he can make a decision on opt-in until the 29th. Talking about Kyrie. So I think I just kind of let things play out and see what happens. Keep the regular contact with Kai, and we'll see what happens. It's something that's so much out of my control that I don't want to be a part of it. We'll see what happens, though. So one of the things he said that really caught my eye, and I'm going to leave it here, and I'm going to give it back to you. He said he's been in regular contact with Kyrie Irving, but you haven't been in contact with your organization. So that tells me who your loyalty is linked to. Your loyalty is to Kyrie. Your loyalty ain't to the organization. You got to remember Kevin Durant. He did leave a Golden State team, which really wasn't his best situation. I've said it many times. I don't think Kevin Durant cares about being the best player in the league anymore. I think he just cares about personal development, like on his game. I do think he cares about winning a championship, but I think his loyalty to Kyrie Irving has already been cemented. From him standing up for Kyrie Irving throughout the whole season, where everybody was telling the Nets to let him go, he was the only person really saying, we need him. So that's why I allowed him to be a part-time player. And I think the Nets really have their hands tied. I think Kyrie Irving's going to get what he wants, or close to it. And I think the Nets are going to have to deal with it because you pretty much shown yourself all throughout the season. You allowed him to become a part-time player. You allowed him to come back when he was able to come back. You allowed him to take 2 weeks off. And now you're pretty much he's throwing your hand again. So I think at the end of the day, Kyrie and KD are going to stay with each other, but I think Kyrie's going to get ultimately what he wants. What you think about that?
Well, okay. So many ways I could dissect this. Now, you made a good point when you said that KD has been in contact with Kyrie, but he hasn't been in contact with the organization, aka Sean Marks, right? He's the organization.
Right.
So my thing is, and now what I'm doing is I'm empathizing, right? I'm putting myself in KD's position. Okay, I'm going to make it even more personal. I'm going to pretend like I'm KD and you're Kyrie. So we're best friends, right? I wouldn't, coming from that perspective, I wouldn't necessarily even say that his loyalty is 100% to Kyrie. Like, yes, the loyalty far as a friend factor is 100%. Because if I'm putting myself in KD's position, just like if I'm looking at you as B Jizzle, it's like my 100% as a friend will always be to B Jizzle. It'll
Right.
always be that. But at the same time, he says something else. I'm just doing me, meaning that within all this commotion, I'm still able as a single entity to make my own decisions as a man. Despite what B Jizzle may do, I'm still at the end of the day reliable for my choices and my family and my life in the league, right? So if B Jizzle is saying, I'm thinking about going to the Lakers, I'm thinking about going to Miami, I'm thinking about going to New York as a best friend. See, there's two sides of the coin here. As a best friend, I'm going to support anything B Jizzle does. I'm his brother. I'm going to be there for him. But at the end of the day, I still have to look out for myself. I still have to, kind of think about what I'm going to do for my own future, right? So it's like, yeah, I see the loyalty, but at the same time, I don't think he wants to say too much because it's like, okay, if B Jizzle goes over to Miami, if B Jizzle goes over to the Lakers, it don't matter what reason why B Jizzle does it. I need to know my reason on why I'm going to make the decision what I'm going to do. Because let's be frank, this NBA, this era that we're in is a players' league, right? Players didn't really have this much movement and action and choices like they do now, like they did back in the 90s or the 80s, right? You were more so controlled by the organization. You were very limited by the organization. But because players nowadays have so much pull power, right? Because they are the biggest assets on the team, their names alone is going to make people come watch the game. It's like now the organization sometimes get pulled into what the players want or need to do for what they want to do with their futures. So with that being said, I think after hearing you speak on what KD talked on, I don't necessarily think that he's gonna just straight up cut all ties with the Brooklyn Nets and just follow Kyrie anywhere. I think what he was saying is it's like, look, Kyrie's my brother, love him to death. Whatever he chooses to do, I'm gonna give him my blessings, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna follow him full-fledged. That just basically means whatever he do, it's not going to be a hard feeling. It's not going to be like this tension like it was between Kyrie and LeBron back in the day in Cleveland. It's not going to be nothing like that. It's just going to be, hey, brother, I respect you. I love you. Wherever you go, I'm going to be a fan. I'm always going to support you. And hey, depending on what happens between me and Sean, which is why I think he's quiet, he's trying to keep the commotion down because we know that KD is a commotion starter with his name alone. So he probably doesn't want to say too much because we know once he starts talking, he's going to be everywhere on the social on the media platforms. His name alone is going to be everywhere. So I think he kind of want to keep that quiet because Kyrie comes with his own gravity when it comes to commotion and media, platforms. His name alone. So when you got KD and Kyrie in the same space, then all of a sudden it's going to turn to a drama-filled thing. We already know that to be true because of past events. So I'm going to end it by saying this with this topic is that I feel KD is doing what he's doing because he wants to keep the peace between both sides. Again, it's not on KD's character to force his way out of anything. We've seen this over the years he's been playing in the league. He always fulfilled his obligations. So that's why I'm so headstrong on feeling like despite what Kyrie may choose or what he might do, he's still going to have a personal back talk with Sean Marks, the owner, just to see if Sean Marks is going to support him. But now, if he hears something from Sean Marks that doesn't really support him as an individual, then I can really most likely see him rolling with Kyrie in that regards. But then if Sean Marks comes back and say, hey, we're going to get these pieces and we're going to do this, and KD's like, yeah, I don't see myself really winning with those pieces. Now it's easier for me to understand him coming out of it. It'll be a shock, but I can actually see that position of him saying, yo, Kyrie, where are you going? All right, man, let's talk as friends, and then let's plan something else and go somewhere else. So I'm saying all this because, again, we're not these men. We don't know how they think on a daily basis, but based off of track record and history, it just would make more sense for KD to move and act the way he's acting, because, again, he's never forced himself out of anywhere. He's been a very loyal person to his organizations. He's always fulfilled his obligations and committed to the contract. But then at the same time, Kyrie is his best friend. So to me, it just simply falls on the line of, Sean Marks, are you going to work with me? Are you going to get me pieces to where I can win a championship here and fulfill my obligation? And if not, and I don't agree with you, then Kyrie, for the last few weeks we've been talking, let's go ahead and make another, conversation and negotiation between us, and let's go somewhere else together. So that's where I end on that one.
Okay, all valid points, bro. And one thing that stuck out to me, really, you said that KD, he's self-sufficient. He's going to do what's best for him. And that's fair, especially as how much loyalty he's shown to Kyrie. Like, I do care for you. I do love you. But I understand your decision. I hope you can understand mine. I think that's where KD's at right now. So with that being said, there was a picture that was posted by another, all-star player in the NBA by the name of Damian Lillard. He posted this on his IG story, I think about 2-3 days ago. Now, you all know KD, and you know that Damian Lillard's, all-star. You definitely know he's a top-notch performer, but he has not had success in Portland. And he's one another of these guys that, stays loyal to his team. If KD and Damian Lillard make this match, first of all, when you said that KD's going to do what's best for him, a light bulb went off in my head. I don't think necessarily KD will up and leave because he has 4 more years left on his contract. He has 4 more years left on that Brooklyn contract. So I don't think he would just up and leave it willingly. I think he would do everything in his power to try to make it work. But he's going to do what's best for him. And if Kyrie leaves the team, right, there's really no reason for him to stay in Brooklyn because I'm essentially here because of you. And if I'm trying to win a championship, I can't do this just by myself. Y'all saw that in Boston series. He couldn't do it by himself. Kyrie had one good game in that series, and that was in game 1. And pretty much, the whole rest of the series was history. But if I'm Kevin Durant, I'm looking at a situation, okay, Kyrie's gone. He's left the team. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at other options. He's also said that too. He said, I'm going to look at other options and evaluate the situation, objectively, as you should. And if I'm Kevin Durant and I see a team like Portland with Damian Lillard, who right now I think he's 31, 32, he's in ready to win now mode too. And I think Portland has enough money to get a guy like Kevin Durant, because remember, they dumped all those contracts, off their team. They got rid of Norman Powell, they got rid of Robert Covington. They might be able to get rid of another player off that team to bring in a guy like a Kevin Durant. Now, if this duo was to happen, I'm going to do this before we let people in. Where does that place the Portland Trailblazers for next season if this happens where KD and Lillard get teamed up?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't see them going as far as what he did in Brooklyn. This is why I say that, because at one point in Brooklyn, they had James Harden, they had Kyrie, they had KD playing all at one time. Granted, like I said, I look at things as an overview. You can't control injuries, right? You can't control what one player on the team might do. And so what am I speaking on? We can't control when Kyrie got hurt. We can't control when KD got hurt. We can't control that James Harden was like, you know what? Kyrie doesn't look like he's all the way here. I'm going to force my way out. So again, it goes back to a lot of what ifs and a lot of directions that people can go, because people are people, right? In organizations, no matter what level you're on, people are going to be people, right? They're going to do what's best for them. And so at the end of the day, okay, let's say that KD decides to force his way out and go to Portland. I don't think that's a good idea. If anything, I think it would make more sense for you to stay in Brooklyn at this point, just because at least with Brooklyn, you already established a relationship with the GM. You established a relationship with the head coach, Steve Nash, that pretty essentially allows you to do anything you want to do. Because let's be perfectly clear, KD is in the same boat as a Kobe Bryant when he was with the Lakers, when he had nobody. But see, Kobe Bryant's loyalty to the Lakers was so strong that, the owner at the time didn't have to worry. Like Jenny Buss and them didn't have to worry about, Kobe wanting to go somewhere else because Kobe was so loyal and locked in with the Lakers. But see, the issue is now with KD is that he's not talking. He's not like a Damian Lillard saying, "Hey, I'm going to be here for the rest of my career." He's not speaking like that. And then the reason why it's such a, like, what are you going to do, KD type of situation is because you already said it, B Jizzle. We only came to Brooklyn because Kyrie was coming here. If Kyrie would have went to the Clippers before they came to Brooklyn, he would have went to the Clippers. So it makes owners and GMs wonder, like you said, like, man, like it puts them in this position. Like, should we try to keep Kyrie because we understand that he only came because Kyrie is here? But after hearing what you said, that KD just said, it's like, okay, remember, KD's not the same mindset that he was when he was in OKC. KD is not the same mindset that he was when he was with the Warriors. All right, this is an evolved man. He has won championships. He has finals MVPs under his belt. So it's not really, in his own mind and from his own mouth, it's not about the championships right now. It's him as a man. It's him as a personal development of himself. So when you look at it from that standpoint, I just feel that, yeah, he could possibly go to Portland, but then I would just, in my opinion, I'm not saying that it's right. I just think that would be a foolish decision. It'd be almost worse than when you left the Warriors, because as we can see, the Warriors won another championship without you. And that's no knock towards him. But it's like, why would you keep making decisions after leaving the Warriors to put yourself in a worse situation that you did after leaving the Warriors going to Brooklyn? Because again, Brooklyn already had the pieces. It's just that things happen between the players, the organization, people getting hurt. One player, Kyrie Irving, making things difficult with the organization. And so that kind of caused a storm there. But then it's like, why now would I go over to Portland and be in a worse situation, starting brand new with the new GM, a new situation, when I already created an establishment and a bond with the GM and a coach here that allows me to do whatever I want to do? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if KD was like, yo, Steve Nash, Sean Marks, yo, tonight, I don't feel like playing. Yeah, I think it'll kind of rub them the wrong way, but he won't get as much as a backlash like Kyrie would because of the relationship he has built and being so loyal to the team. I think it kind of like when LeBron would just take games off and just sit down, even though he could have played. It's like the organizations really didn't bother him because of what he brings to the table. So I think that's the sweet spot that he has in Brooklyn. And it wouldn't make no sense for you to go to Portland and then not have that relationship and sweet spot that you have in Brooklyn and make it harder on yourself. Might I add, you being an older player, because now you're hitting that top of the hill. You're not a young KD, you're an older KD. And then it's like now you're in a newer situation where people are not going to take as many chances on you as you would as if you just go ahead and stay in Brooklyn and have more pulling power and more power from the mouth if you want certain things to move for you. So to me, that would be a worse move. That'd be a foolish decision. But he's his own man, as he already quoted. So I'm going to end it like this. Yeah, he can go over to the Portland Trailblazers. He can do that. But my point is, what sense would that make? That'd be a worse decision that you made that when you left the Warriors, because now you have to reestablish yourself. You have to recreate a bond. And again, you're in your 30s. You're not in your 20s recreating this bond. So making mistakes, slowing down, getting injured, trying to take off games, it's not going to ride in Portland. But you know what? If you did that in Brooklyn, it's going to ride a lot better for you because you already established that relationship. So that's how I end that one.
Yeah, that actually that's the best point I think of the show. You said that KD is in his 30s. So now when you go to any new team, you definitely have to reestablish yourself, because it's more than just going over there and dribbling a basketball. If you gotta establish chemistry, you gotta establish team camaraderie, and you gotta establish understanding whose team is it gonna be. Is it gonna be your team or Dame's team, or do y'all not care? That has to be edged out before you even get there. Now, people can say that don't matter, but it does when you get on the court. It's gonna show. But let's go ahead and get like a little bit of a session with some of the people. If anybody want to come in, we got about 15 minutes left, and you know what I'm saying, y'all can come in here and say what y'all think about the situation. Do y'all think KD and Kyrie are going to be out of Brooklyn? Do you feel like Kyrie Irving is playing hardball? Do you think KD is talking to Kyrie, about the situation deeply than what he said? We need to hear from the audience. Whoever want to come in, there's the link. Y'all can click right there. Um, Yeah, man, that's pretty much it. And also, um, do you think Kyrie Irving would leave money on the table? Like, do you think he would leave 36 million on the table to go to the Lakers and get paid 6 million? You think his pride is that strong?
I think it's possible. And this is the reason why I say that, because he is a prideful person. He has shown throughout the years that he walks to the own beat of, like the beat of his drum, right? If you tell Kyrie this is what you're gonna do, he's gonna purposely do the opposite. That's just how Kyrie is. So anytime you challenge Kyrie, he's going to go the other way of that challenge. He's in a way, he's in a sense what we call petty. He's definitely a petty spirit. He's going
Right.
to go the other way. So how I will answer that is yes, I can see Kyrie going to the Lakers with LeBron. Why do I say that? I'm not just saying it because of an opinion. I'm saying it because of facts and what Kyrie has said in his past. Kyrie has said on a platform, and I can't really remember at the top of my head right now, but he mentioned that when he was playing with LeBron, he just wished that he was more mature in his mind state. He felt like he could have did more in certain situations. And so when you're hearing all this noise around him with the Brooklyn Nets, would it shock me what Kyrie would go back to LeBron with the Lakers and make amends? That wouldn't shock me. I'm not saying he would do it, but it definitely wouldn't shock me because it would be on his own terms. In his mind, it would be, yo, LeBron, I felt like we could have did things better in Cleveland. So I'm going to take this cut. I'm going to take this $6 million deal because I'm making money off the court, right? I'm making money in other venues. So I'm going to come back and make amends and win another championship with you with this new state of mind that I have and prove to everybody, because again, he's a prideful, petty player, and prove to everybody that I can do this despite what you might say about me. So in that particular situation and that topic and question that you brought up, yes, I can see Kyrie making a move like that just to shut people down and show them that you can't control me and I can make my own fate and my own destiny. Because again, he's that type of player where you're not going to tell him what to do. So I definitely can see something like that happening. But the reality of it is that, like you did mention, he does have to secure he is an asset. He does have to secure the bag. He does have to think about his family. He has to think about himself. But if he had to prove somebody wrong and he had to make amends, I can definitely see him taking a cut and going back to LeBron and then coming with that new mind state and showing the world and the league that, hey, this is what we could have did if I had my mind right in Cleveland, and actually going with LeBron and winning another one. So I can see something like that from Kyrie just because of his personality. But that's what I say on that.
All right, so we got Bubba in here, man. What you think about the situation, man?
First of all, salute to Rick Master, salute to you, BJ, salute to the chat. To be honest, I don't really think Kyrie's gonna leave $30 million on the table, because like if you leave that money on the table, then and you take the $6 million and let's say you go to the Lakers, then what? I mean, you're trying to be petty, but at the end of the day, $30 million is still $30 million. You wanted the supermax with the Nets, so why would you want to take a pay cut and go play for the Lakers for way less money? And I don't see Kevin Durant leaving. Like Rick Masters, like you said, like he's never done this before in his career. Like he's always played to the end of his contract. You know what I'm saying? Even though the Nets is in a turmoil right now, I don't see him leaving because, what I'm saying, it'll be just like the OKC situation. Like you can't win as the guy on your team. You know what I'm saying? You have to go join other superstars to try to win now. Yeah, he has Kyrie, but with him and Kyrie on the team, he's the man on the team. But his leadership is the question. Like Kyrie's doing whatever he wants. You know what I'm saying? Kevin Durant has all the smoke for other people on Twitter and all these media analysts, but he doesn't have the same energy when it comes to Kyrie. He kind of like, let Kyrie do what he wants to do. He's his own man, this and that and the third. But when it comes to the media personality, he always has this energy going back and forth with them. So I feel like KD has to, try to convince Kyrie to try to opt in so they can, because y'all got embarrassed last year. Y'all need to come back and show the Boston Celtics that, we not like that. You know what I'm saying? We was not our head wasn't in the game last season. That's why y'all got us. But you know, what I'm saying we are those dudes. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all was the best, the most skilled duo, and y'all try to prove everybody wrong. So you have to come back stronger this season. You know what I'm saying? Kyrie, you have a lot to show us that you're not a lazy player. You don't want to take off time. You know what I'm saying? You can show that you can be dedicated to your craft. Yeah, we know basketball is not the most important thing to you, but you have to prove these guys wrong. They always mention your name and try to like throw dust on your name. So I feel like Kyrie should opt into his contract. I don't see him leaving. You know what I'm saying? And to his teams that he suggested with the Miami and New York, I don't see Kyrie working there because Pat Riley's not gonna tolerate his bull crap with him choosing to play when he wants to play and when he doesn't want to play. You know, I don't see him working with Tom Thibodeau in New York as well. So that's what I feel about the whole situation.
Okay, so I want to touch on something that Bubba said though.
Go ahead.
Now, Bubba, valid points across the board. I think the way you displayed that, the way you orchestrated that, perfect. But here's what I'm saying. We still got to remember the personality and behavior of Kyrie. This is why I said I still feel that he would take. That's a possibility. It's just an opinion. It doesn't make it fact. I want to put that out there. But the reason why I feel like Kyrie would possibly do that is because of something you just said. It's like, yo, man, Kyrie, you got to come back. You got to prove people wrong. Kyrie don't give a damn about what people think. He has shown that. He has said that. You know, so with that being known to be a fact, I just feel like what you're saying is true. And even myself would like to see that. But knowing Kyrie, knowing his personality and his psyche, he would literally go against people like me and you. He would literally say, you know what? I hear what y'all saying, but I'm going to do what I want to do. So he's so prideful to where even though what you're saying, and I actually agree with you, makes sense. It's like, Kyrie, you got to come back and fulfill this, dude. You got embarrassed. You know, you guys were the Monstars. Y'all should have won. Kyrie doesn't care. Kyrie's going to say, hey, you know what, Bubba and Rick, I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to show y'all something. I'm going to take this $6 million and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to go with the guy that I should have made amends with, and I'm going to win a championship over here just to shut you and Rick up on his podcast. That's the kind of mindset Kyrie has. That's the personality. And then on top of that, let's not forget that at the end of the day, Kyrie makes money in other revenues in other arenas. So it's not like if he takes that $6 million, it's not like he's broke. He has the money. So at the end of the day, Kyrie is the type of personality where he's going to use that pride. He's going to try to slap you back in the face, and he's going to prove you wrong. And with that kind of mentality, even though what you're saying and what I agree with what you're saying makes more sense, he will literally die on his sword and show you that me and you were wrong. That's why I said I can see him taking that $6 million. Not saying he will, but I can see it.
Yeah, I gotta piggyback on something, man. Bubba, that's your background noise?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, mute it real quick. So first off, what Rick said is true. Like Kyrie's personality is, we've seen it, man. He's not the type to just take a little bit. It's either all or nothing for him. He's either gonna go for it all or for nothing. If he doesn't feel like he's getting his whole fair share, then he will do everything to go against the grain. He's not one of these guys that, really negotiate. Kyrie doesn't come off to me as that type of person. I think he feels he's deserving of the supermax, and he wants the supermax. He feels like his skill set and his ability and what he does on the court has allowed him to be a supermax player. And so the Brooklyn Nets trying to shake his hand, like trying to, cut his hand off, is why I feel like he thinks of it as kind of a disrespect. And once you disrespect, slide Kyrie, then he's like, okay, now you're crossing the line. So I think, like Rick said, he makes money in other avenues. I think he has like a lifetime shoe deal with Nike. You talk about the Uncle Drew movie, like he's making money out of other assets, man. He's not a dumb person when it comes to, increasing his portfolio. So he may do something that nothing has been done, and that's take $30 million less out of spite for the organization that didn't give you what you want. I think in an interview he's talked about LeBron James. He said that if it was different, if he was more mature, then he would have been able to suppress his feelings to LeBron and share it with other people. He know how to do that. So if Kyrie, if he's going to talk about going to LA and take $6 million, he's looking at, well, it ain't even about the money. Now this is about principle. I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna show y'all what y'all missing out in Brooklyn. Why I should have deserved the supermax. Now this person, the real illest, I gotta give him credit for this comment. And this is one thing I would say though that Kyrie is thinking about. He says, and the day he makes that move, I guarantee y'all the media will trash him. So the media is basically saying LeBron James has the media on his side. The whole narrative has been since Kyrie left LeBron James is that he hasn't won a championship. But there's been other outliers of why Kyrie it's more than just not having LeBron. The first year he went to Boston, they faced the Celtics and he got hurt. He faced the Cavs and he got hurt. Had Kyrie Irving been on the court with the Celtics, they would have probably beat that Cavs team. And this whole narrative would change. People don't talk about Kyrie Irving being hurt. Kyrie Irving was hurt in the playoffs against the Bucks. So, but the whole thing is the lazy argument is Kyrie Irving needs LeBron. So he's thinking, okay, well, if I go back to the Lakers and I do for him, because now it looks like LeBron needs him, and nobody wants to talk about that. LeBron needs him more, just as much as he needs LeBron, because LeBron's legacy rides on it. If with Westbrook they're trying to trade, if they get a guy like Kyrie Irving, their chances exponentially go up. So Kyrie Irving is looking at it like, also, I don't want to be the laughingstock of the media of this crazy narrative that I need LeBron to win. So it's tricky, man. It's tricky, but I do think Kyrie Irving is going to stand his ground for the long haul.
But don't you think if he goes to the Lakers, like he's proven somebody like me, right? Because I always say, without LeBron, what is Kyrie? You haven't done anything. The Boston Celtics made it further without you than they did with you. So you joining LeBron will prove that yes, you can't win without LeBron.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying, though. That's why I say I don't think that would stop him from going to LeBron. That would stop him because, for one, he already said he feels confident in his own skill set. So that would stop him from leaving the Nets. It's like I said, it's tough to dissect what he's gonna do, because on both sides his character is being questioned. If I stay with Brooklyn, then there's a possibility I won't get my full max. If I go to LA, then that's showing everybody that I need LeBron James, which is just a narrative, right? So, anything else before we go ahead and close this out?
Well, what I was gonna say was to kind of touch on what both of you guys are saying. We have to look at it. We only could go with what we know to be true, right, about the player, which is Kyrie. If Kyrie was more of a team system player, right, do anything for the team. So when I think of players like that, I think of the old San Antonio Spurs. I think of Ginobili, right? I think of Tony Parker. I think of Tim Duncan. If he had a mindset like that, a do whatever it takes to win here type of mindset, then I would essentially see him just staying with Brooklyn, right? I would essentially, because he made a decision with KD. They pretty much made ties. We're going to win a championship here, and we'll do whatever it takes, that whatever it takes mindset to get it done. So it's like he would have gotten a shot. He would have came to practices and not go do what he wanted to do. He would have, played the roles that he needed to play instead of being his own man or just doing what he wanted to do. But since we know for a fact he's not like that, he's almost like a thunderstorm. It's so unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to do. But what is true to the man himself is that whatever the media, whatever we're saying here today on this podcast, whatever his mama say, whatever his daddy say, to him, it's what he wants to do. And I just feel like what anybody's saying on the media, whatever, and even when we're making sense, like, oh man, Kyrie, you should do this, he's going to do the opposite. That's just who he's always been. And I feel like at this and this point in his career and where he's at in his mindset and how he's evolved as a person, he feels, as BJ kind of touched, he feels very secure within himself as a man and as a basketball player. So it's like, knowing this to be true and knowing this to be the man himself, I just feel like, for one, on one side of the coin, you don't know what he's going to do. He's going to choose himself every time. But at the same time, when it goes back to that topic of him and LeBron, the reason why I think it wouldn't matter to him, like how Bubba is saying, well, look, if you go back to LeBron, and even if you win a championship with LeBron, and like BJ said, LeBron, in my opinion, is going to need Kyrie as much as he's going to need the other way around. Because let's not get it twisted. Even back in Cleveland, LeBron needed Kyrie. Even though LeBron was the guy, he still needed Kyrie. If Kyrie didn't hit that crazy shot on Steph Curry, this would be a different conversation. The legacy would be different. So we can't sit here and say even back then that LeBron just couldn't handle it on his own, because we've seen LeBron handle things on his own. He doesn't win. He gets you far, but he doesn't win. So at the end of the day, Kyrie has always been his soulmate in a sense. He has always been the other half, kind of like Jordan and Scottie Pippen, right? You know, before Scottie Pippen and the rest of that crew came around him, Jordan wasn't winning nothing, right? Before Shaq or before Paul Gasol and Metta World Peace came around Kobe wasn't winning nothing. We've seen these players by themselves, and even though they had exceptional games and exceptional seasons and even exceptional playoffs by themselves, they weren't winning without that other soulmate. They were not winning these championships without that other piece. So remember, basketball is a 5-player game. Yes, the superstar is going to have the most impact on the game, but you still need that other player. So I get how people can easily say, well, you know what, Kyrie, if you go back to LeBron, you're essentially doing the same thing. But let's not forget this one important piece. Kyrie has stated, man, if my mindset was different, I think me and LeBron could have done more. So that's already telling you, despite what we may think of Kyrie and how it may look on him from our perspective, from his perspective, he feels like he could have fulfilled and done more if he would have had a different mindset. So him going back to LeBron is not going to feel or think the same way that we're thinking about him now. He's not going to care about, you know, oh, you can't win with LeBron, because in his mind, he's already thinking, I could have actually done more with LeBron if I had a more mature state of mind and I would have did this different. So I think that kind of already goes against what you're explaining, Bubba. Not saying that you're wrong, because again, you're making valid points. It would be smart for him to do it a different way, but we're talking about Kyrie here. So we already know what he thinks. We already know what he feels. So it wouldn't be a shock if he did go back to LeBron. He wouldn't care about what people said about that. So we got to keep that in mind too. But that's what I have to say on that.
All right, man. That's going to be the last comment from me. Anything else from that, Bubba?
I mean, I just think it would be selfish to, you know, take the $6 million and go to Los Angeles, because if you're willing to take $6 million, why aren't you willing to take a 2-year deal with the Nets and, you know, try to make your team better and try and make it to the playoffs and prove the Boston Celtics wrong, you know?
Because that's what he wants to do. That's the whole point. You're making sense, but in his mind, it's what you want him to do, Bubba. It's what the media wants him to do. It's what I want him to do. And remember, from his own mouth, from his own behavior throughout the league and in history when he's been playing, he has shown us time and time again he doesn't care about what we think. That's the point I'm making. It's like, you're right. You're not wrong in what you're saying, but we have to remember the player, their personality, their mindset. And when we're dealing with a Kyrie, he's going to go against the grain. So when you make a comment saying, hey, why would you do that? That's selfish. Why would you not just stay with KD, or why would you not have stayed over here or done this? Because that's not what I want to do as Kyrie. That's not Kyrie's way. That's not how I go to the beat of this drum. And I'm going to show you and prove to you that I don't have to do it your way, and I'm going to do it this way. That's why it would make sense if he went back with LeBron, is to really shut everybody down.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all. We going to end the show right there, man. Bubba, we always appreciate you coming on, man. Definitely a regular, you know what I mean? And Bruce, he just said that he couldn't eat Wi-Fi where I'm at right now when I allowed me to be a guest. I was ready to cook KD. So obviously he's on Kyrie. He's not on KD's side. So we're gonna be back on this tomorrow, man. We're gonna talk more about this, and yeah, we want to let people come in. If y'all have not came in, man, don't be afraid to share your opinion. I see 14, 16 people coming watching the video. Don't be scared to come in here, man. We always allow people's opinion. We welcome if you agree, disagree, and we can all talk about it. So, Bubba, we definitely appreciate you coming on, bro.
We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving me this platform to, share my thoughts about basketball as well.
Oh, no problem.
Yes, sir. Love.
All right, salute.
Be good. All right, bro. So we're gonna get it ended right there, man. And any last seconds before we have to end the show?
Oh man, the only thing I'm going to say is Bubba, once again, thank you for coming on, man. Like I said, I think you made valid points. I actually agree with you. But again, when you're dealing with a player like Kyrie, it doesn't matter what me or you think. That's just what he's always shown. He's always meant to be.
Yeah.
Also, I want to give a personal shout out to Players for Keeps 20 at 11:32. My man said Masters is preaching. I appreciate that, brother. Much love, humbleness. And to all the other people who showed up and who left comments, man, you know me and B Jizzle, we appreciate y'all. Like B Jizzle was saying, don't be afraid to jump in when we open the floor. We love the barbershop talk about basketball. We love to hear different perspectives and opinions because we feed off of that. So we appreciate y'all's time. But I'm going to end it by saying this. Hey, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast shirts, we got the red, we got the black, we got the white tanks, we got the sweaters, the hoodies of different colors, $25 for the shirts, $30 for the hoodies and sweaters, $5 shipping and handling fee. You can hit up me or B Jizzles in the DM. We also have our Cash App links. We also have our information in the YouTube links at the bottom of it. So, hey, don't be afraid to reach out to us. Again, Rick Masters at Rick Masters 23 or Mr. Lee on Instagram. Rick Masters everywhere else. It was good talking to y'all. B Jizzle, let's go.
Like my man said, continue to support the Pull Up Basketball Podcast, man. If y'all want any merchandise, please hit us up in the comment sections or Facebook or, Instagram, and we can get that to you, $35 a pop for the sweaters. That includes shipping and handling no matter where you're at. $30 for the shirt, shipping and handling no matter where you're at. All colors, white, black, and red, all sizes as well. And also our Cash App, like he said, if y'all want to donate to the Pull Up Basketball Podcast, we definitely appreciate y'all. I'm going to put the Cash App links into the comment section. Y'all know what I'm saying? Continue to support us, bro. We definitely want to put out quality information throughout the summer. We continue to work for you guys, man. We definitely appreciate all the support y'all do. Whatever y'all choose to give on your hearts is well appreciated, man. But we respectfully say, pull up a seat, pull up a chair, pull up. Peace. Out of here like swim well.